Hey there, my name is Cole Adams, and you are watching the best college basketball podcast out there that covers the entire sport of college basketball, brackets, bubbles, and bid stealers. Now, here are your hosts, Sam Fetterman and Jonathan Lidskin.
Season 5, episode 85, brackets, bubbles, and bid stealers. I am Sam Fetterman. That is Jonathan Lidskin. Jonathan, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I am doing great, Sam. Just great.
Gee, I wonder why you could be doing great.
It's because I get to see you next weekend, of course.
Yes, the next time you guys see us, we will be in the same room doing a podcast.
Well, Final Four preview this week. Are we going to do that this weekend?
Would that not be what we do?
Oh, I didn't know.
What else would we?
Well, usually I feel like we do our Final Four preview like in the middle of the week.
Yeah, no, we probably will. We will definitely do our Final Four preview in the middle of the week. But okay, so not the next time, but the time after that you see us, we will be in San Antonio. We don't know where in San Antonio.
You're figuring that out. A lot of things to be figured out.
A lot of things to be figured out, but that is going to be Saturday, 12:30 Central Time. Okay, Saturday, 1:30 Eastern Time will be the next time you see us in person.
All I'm saying is after next weekend, Sam Fetterman and I will have met twice in person, and both of those times will have been in Central Time.
Well, when was the last time you've been to Eastern Time outside of like Indiana?
Oh, outside of Indiana? Let's see.
Oh, you did North Carolina and you did Florida.
When was the last time I was in Florida? Like 2 summers ago?
I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds right.
We have ball to talk.
Yeah, we do.
Let's get started with Thursday night because we have a Final Four.
We do.
Auburn, Duke, Houston, Florida. 4 number 1 seeds. Do you have any initial thoughts on what that means?
Like in terms of like a general perspective?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's awesome for the sport. Like people can sit here and complain about chalk madness all they want, but the reality is 2 years ago when we had a Final Four with a 4 seed, 2 5 seeds, and a 9 seed, people complained. Last year when we had a Final Four that had 2 stinker games, people complained. Like, listen, I will say this right now. My ideal tournament is like, we get a couple, huge upsets in the first round, a couple, 5 through 7 seeds work their way into the Elite Eight, Sweet 16, and are exciting. And then we get a Final Four of 4 teams who we thought all year were great. Like, I think this is really healthy for the sport that the best teams are playing on the biggest stage. It's not going to be like this every year. I wouldn't want, a Final Four with all 1 seeds every year.
And I think that's healthy. I think it's healthy for every once in a while to have something like this, but I think it's healthier that it's not happening every year.
Yeah, in a year where we enter the Final Four with 4 of the top 10 teams of all time in the Ken Pom era, that's really good for the sport.
Would it have been cool if we had a 14 over a 3? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But which of the 3 seeds was going to lose? Like, all the 3 seeds were awesome this year.
Right. Like we talked about that. How even like I remember sending you a text, Sam, in like probably early February or around then, that like this year the team that was like 28th in Ken Pom had a higher net rating than the team that was like 17th last year. Like, it's been a really good year for college basketball in terms of how good teams were. Like Purdue 2 years ago with the team that lost to FDU, they were a 1 seed. That team is probably not even a top 15 team this year.
Is this Purdue team better than that Purdue team?
Towards the end of the year, yes.
They have by the end of the year I would agree, but most of that year, that Purdue team was better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, people are going to complain no matter what about, this Final Four. A lot of people are going to watch. This is really high quality basketball that we're going to see next weekend. And you know what? It's March Madness. If you don't like it, fine. Like, you're subject to your own opinion. You probably aren't going to get this for another decade, right? So if
we have something similar or something, or if we have this again next year in the next few years, then we can have a discussion about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Thursday night. Let's start with the first game on Thursday night, which was billed as one of the games of the year in college basketball, and it was ridiculous between BYU and Alabama. Just the first 5 minutes of this game felt like an NBA game.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I mean, teams were getting up and down. Like, I know BYU was kind of in a pick your poison situation, but I'm not sure going under screens against a team like Alabama is a really great plan. Like, Alabama has adapted this year a little bit to not be as reliant on 3-point shooting, but they're still very good at it. Still one of the best in the country at it. And, you hit 25 threes, you score whatever it was, 115 points. And, BYU, I didn't think played bad on the offensive end, but they never had a chance.
BYU was actually pretty good offensively in this game. They had 1.11 points per possession. Yeah. I thought Yegor Demon was tremendous on the offensive side of the ball. Richie Saunders got whatever he wanted in the paint. Like, this BYU got whatever it wanted in the paint. It was 64% inside the arc, but they couldn't get a 3-point shot to drop. And Alabama just kept on doing ball reversal after ball reversal and driving kick after driving kick and creating wide open like, a lot of these threes were not really that contested. Now, a bunch of them were like 4 or 5 feet behind the 3-point line, but that's what Alabama does. They take deep threes. They fire without any sort of second guessing. This is what the Tide do. And this is what the Tide have done for the last few years. When you have a guy like Mark Sears, he's liable to go 10 for 16 from 3. He's liable to go for 34 and 8. He's never done this, but he's had 6, 5, 7 three-pointer games throughout his career in college basketball. So the notion that anyone would be surprised that this team is the one that breaks Loyola Marymount's record, nobody would be.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to plug my computer charger in here. But anyway, yeah, I didn't think that it was a great strategy to make Alabama play a style that they're obviously very comfortable playing. Like, a lot of these guys were on the Alabama team or in systems like this that shot threes. And, their whole, deal is hey, we're going to take more efficient shots than you. And that's exactly what BYU made them do. I understand that you probably didn't want them getting to the rim, but I think you would have probably hung around better if you made them take rim attempts and actually get to the rim.
I think that BYU going under was them basically telling Alabama that they didn't want. Well, it was basically them telling Alabama for Sears to beat them and for Holloway to beat them and for the Alabama point guards to beat them instead of the Alabama shooters to beat them. And it ended up that just everyone on Alabama beat them.
Yeah.
I don't know if daring Mark Sears to beat you is what I would do either. Mark Sears is Mark Sears. That guy rocks.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a great game plan from a coach who I thought was really good this year and clearly has a pretty good future in this sport.
I mean, again, I'm not sure what I would have done. Just nobody was stopping Alabama the way they shot the ball.
I mean, listen, I think the game plan and kind of beating them on variance, it's in itself is fine. But once you realize that Alabama was going to hit threes, there was a chance for you to change your game plan and make that game different.
I mean, they started hedging in the second half, and it didn't matter.
Yeah. I don't know, like play drop coverage or something.
Okay, and then you get lobbed to death.
Are we sure?
I think you do.
BYU's got some pretty athletic guys inside.
So does Alabama.
I understand, but
I don't like giving Sears that much space for dribble penetration.
and I don't like giving them that much space for threes, in which he hit 10 of.
Again, there's no like good way to defend Alabama, Jonathan. There's a reason they're the number 4 offense in the country.
There was a way to play that game without giving up 115 points. I'm sure of it.
Yes. I don't think there was a way to play that game and win the way that Alabama was shooting.
No.
But like Alabama is 95th percentile on spot ups. They're 90th percentile as a pick and roll ball handler. 87th percentile cuts, 71st. Like they do everything well offensively.
Yeah, they do.
Like unless you're Duke and you can switch your 7-2 center onto Mark Sears and have him slide with him and keep him out of the paint and then have a monster secondary rim protector, like you're not shutting down Alabama.
Yeah. I'm with you.
And we'll get into that a little later. Second game on Thursday night, I believe, was Florida, Maryland. And we have a lot of Maryland stuff to discuss after the season.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of Florida stuff to discuss this week. But what did you take away from this game?
Didn't really look like Maryland was like totally interested in playing that game. Like it felt like
First half was really good.
It felt like they had, I thought they got some stuff in the first half that like kept them in it, but like Florida was the better team. They were going to probably win regardless. But like Julian Reese was really good early. Jacoby Gillespie hit some really tough shots in the first half. And other than that, like it didn't look like they were totally bought in on the defensive end. Like I think part of that can be attributed to their coach basically handling a coaching move as poorly as you can.
I think, yeah, Willard didn't handle this right. We'll get into that in the offseason. It's like we have a laundry list of stuff to discuss on that note in the offseason. But, I mean, this was a really impressive performance for Florida in the second half. I thought they were really good. 6 guys in double figures. Aberdeen was very good off the bench. They got they totally commanded the glass. Like they were like Maryland is a physical basketball team. They looked like they just had no business being on the same floor as Florida in this game. And I think a lot of that is definitely to do with just being disinterested.
Yeah.
By the way, the Kevin Willard quotes leading up to this game, the ones that were like him saying, the ones that were like him saying, like answering questions of Villanova with like, I'm worried about Florida. Walter Clayton's this. Like, that was so corny.
Yeah.
That was so corny.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else to discuss from this game?
No, not really. Florida was Florida in the second half.
Duke, Arizona.
I thought Arizona played really well, to be honest. Like this was a non-shooting team that shot it like really well. in this game. 12 of 26 from 3. Caleb Love was 5 of 11. Had 35 points. Like Conrad Martinez hit a 3. Trey Townsend was 2 for 2 on threes. Like Arizona just couldn't get enough stops.
No, not at all. Duke hit threes. Arizona hit threes. Duke was much better inside the arc. Duke was the better, more physical rebounding team. Duke moved the ball better. Duke's front court, I think, was the difference in this game. Vesar had a good performance, but Awaka and Townsend combined for 7 points. Meanwhile, Flag, Malawach, Gongba. I mean, if you just take Malawach and Gongba and don't even include Flag, you're getting 21 versus Awaka and Townsend at 7. This was 2 physical teams, and Duke just being more talented, more athletic, more physical than a physical, talented, athletic Arizona team. I think this was a really impressive showing by the Blue Devils offensively. Defensively, yeah, I mean, the amount of threes that Arizona made was really impressive on its own.
Mm-hmm.
But Duke surviving, Kaman Malawach gets in foul trouble. Pat Gongba gets in foul trouble. You have to kind of break the glass on Malik Brown.
Yeah.
And Malik Brown gave 4 really solid minutes. Caleb Foster and Isaiah Evans didn't play much in this game, but they didn't need to. This was the best I've seen. This was Cooper Flag's best game as a Duke Blue Devil.
Yeah, I mean, he was the first freshman to ever go for 35 and 5 in a NCAA tournament game.
I don't know, but that sounds right.
Like, I think that's what the stat was. I mean, he was incredible. Like, didn't get his best performance, and we'll talk about it in the Elite Eight. But yeah, he was great. Khan was great. Sion James hit some really big threes for them. It wasn't a complete Duke performance. I thought it was a bad defensive performance, but credit to Arizona with their shot making. I thought Arizona did a good job, for the most part, being pretty physical inside. They got 12 offensive rebounds to Duke's 7 in this game. I just think that, this was just simply a case where Arizona played as well as they could, and Duke is just that talented. I think that's all I have, Sam.
That's all I have either. This next game was something special.
Holy
Texas Tech and Arkansas. John Calipari was up by 16 points with 9:50 to play. I tweeted out because I had that tweet from January that says that he's Jim Boeheim levels of washed, and I quote tweeted it and said he's even getting the fluke Final Four run out of it. And then everything turned upside down. Texas Tech. How did Texas Tech flip this game, Jonathan?
Well, they started making shots for one, and I think it was a lot of self errors by Arkansas as well. Like, they missed free throws, they turned it over. I think it was not an analytically smart close by them, as they kept taking shots way too early in the shot clock. Like, I understand that you still want to run offense and generate good shots, even when you're up, as much as Arkansas was. But, it felt like Arkansas took way too many shots early in the shot clock. And when they missed them, as a result, possession goes back to Texas Tech, and you're increasing the amount of chances Texas Tech gets to score to make the game closer. I thought it was, a really well-played first 32 minutes by the Hogs, and a really poorly played last 13 minutes, including overtime. That math is correct. Yeah. Not good at math on the show, at least on my front.
That is well documented.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was, it showed which team was the more analytically superior team in this game.
Boogie and Thiero giving 14 combined minutes, and all 14 of them were bad. I know that they would have been down to 7 if they didn't play either of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it would have made them that much worse.
Yeah.
Boogie wasn't that bad against St. John's in Kansas. He wasn't good, but I didn't think he was bad. Thero was clearly not ready.
Yeah, I mean, he played 5 minutes, just didn't look himself.
And then you get, look, Adu was really, really good physically against St. John's, and he was really good for most of this. He was really solid for most of this game against Texas Tech, and then he wasn't very good down the stretch. I don't think anyone for Arkansas was good down the stretch of this game. Carter Knox took some bad shots. DJ Wagner took a really bad shot to end the game. But Texas Tech just made big shots. They made big shots. I don't understand the foul up 3 discourse around this game. The discourse I do understand around this game, and the discourse that I want to get into around this game, is the timeout discourse.
Okay.
What is Cal do? I'm fine if you want to see if you can get, if one of your guys can create something and you don't want to call timeout, you want to just play the advantage or whatever it is. But once it's clear that you're not getting anything, call timeout, set something up for a quick hitter.
Yeah. Is that not like exactly what Nico Medved did against Maryland?
It is exactly what Nico Medved did against Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost.
Yeah, I mean, to no fault of Nico Medved.
No, Nico Medved completely outcoached Kevin Willard. Kevin Willard has been outcoached in like each of his last 5 tournament games or something like that.
I understand like when coaches say that, like, oh, hey, I don't want to like give them a chance to like set up their defense or whatever. But what people conveniently leave out of these like arguments when you are debating timeouts and no timeouts is that like you get a chance to like set up your offense. Like, sure, like, you know, Texas Tech can plan, but like they don't know what you're gonna run unless you're unbelievably well scouted. But you know, you have a chance to drop something original for the best player on your team, whether he has the ball in his hands or not.
I read a tweet that was like, oh, Cal's staff wouldn't have drawn up anything good. Like, so
we should just not try?
Yeah, like, if you are not calling timeout because you think you wouldn't draw up a good play.
DJ Wagner was 5 for 14 in this game.
If you're not calling timeout because you don't think you would draw up a good play, you're admitting the institutional failure that not calling the timeout itself begs.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, you're just a lost cause and you shouldn't be in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, if you don't feel comfortable calling a timeout there to draw up something, maybe you should have somebody on your staff that does.
And I do think that's part of the problem with Cal.
I think it's been part of the problem with his staffs for years.
He's just got a bunch of recruiters
mm-hmm.
that, like, he's got. What is that staff right now? It's like Kenny Payne, Chuck Martin.
Is Chin Coleman there?
Yeah, Chin Coleman. It's Kenny Payne, Chuck Martin, Chin Coleman, and Brad Calipari. And then Bruiser Flint, Tyler Eulis. I don't know who any of these dudes are on his support staff.
Yeah, I mean, once you get past the first couple.
But like, yeah, that is not a good staff.
I mean, I think they're good at certain things, but you know, I would call it. It's not a balanced staff, is what I would call it.
Yeah, it's not a well put together staff.
Like your staff, like, ideally should be balanced, so you have, like, you know, you have your recruiter, you have your, you know, offensive coordinator, you have your guy who runs your defense, stuff like that.
Why does he only have? I guess he has 4 assistants. I was going to say, why does he only have 3? But I mean, you can have 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like,
I guess he just has a massive support staff.
Like, also the 5 assistant rule is so new that, like, you know, I'm okay.
This is the new staff.
Huh?
But this is a new staff. It's from last year.
I know, but I'm saying that like the 5 assistant rule is so new that like I'm okay if like, hey, like there's not like a guy out there that like we want as a 5th assistant. So anyway, should we move on to Friday?
I mean, I want to shout out Darion Williams. Took
Yeah.
over this game.
Mm-hmm.
Took over this game down the stretch.
Yeah.
Toppin was tremendous. Williams was tremendous. Christian Anderson, preseason All-American next year. I thought Kevin Overton gave really good minutes. I was really impressed with the way Texas Tech came back in this game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Friday. What was the first game? Michigan State, Mississippi?
Yep.
Classic Izzo.
Right. Like
this was the most Tom Izzo game in the history of basketball.
Sean Padula got like very close to like Kemba candidate watch.
He did.
Yeah, I just, Michigan State, I feel like just did just enough. Like, just grinded it out in the most Izzo way possible. You said it.
Anything else?
Trying to think. Do I remember anything from this game? It just like
notable that
like watching Michigan State.
Notable that Zapala didn't play and they won, and then Zapala plays 14 minutes and they lost.
Yeah.
Zapala was terrible by the end of the season.
Yeah, I think that like watching the first half of this game, like it's pretty evident why Michigan State wasn't a national title contender. Their offense at times just got like very stagnant because they don't have.
We'll talk about that a little more later.
Yeah. All right. What was the next one?
Tennessee, Kentucky.
Oh yeah, this was a rout.
This game was never close. It was over.
I mean,
Zakai Ziegler was unbelievable.
Jordan Majewski, like 5 minutes into this game, tweeted that like he was going on record that Kentucky had like no chance. Yeah, I mean Ziegler was unbelievable. 18 points, 10 assists. Lanier didn't have his best day from 3, but still scored 17 and got inside. Jordan Gainey had 16 off the bench for them, and Kentucky just couldn't get a stop. Not that was like surprising, but like that's just what happened.
Yeah, just don't think there was anything that Kentucky could have done with the way Tennessee defended them in this game. Mm-hmm. Like they couldn't get to their zooms, they couldn't get to any of their typical actions, and they couldn't get off shots. Like Kentucky's whole deal is how much they shoot the outside shots, and like that like obviously it's not their only thing, but they do a good job of that. They typically do a good job of getting threes off. This was the only game this season where they had a 3-point ratio below 30.
Yeah.
They took 15 threes. That's a season low.
Mm-hmm.
This game was played at Tennessee's pace. The balls dictated.
So you can run teams off the line? Interesting. Sorry, I'm done.
Kevin Young. But I think the difference is that most of Kentucky's threes are generated from off-ball action, while Alabama's threes are generated from on-ball action and transition.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kentucky was generally kind of an easier guard late in the season when you kind of figured out who they were. And at the end of the day, this wasn't even Kentucky's offense that let them down. They scored 1.07 points per possession against the number 3 defense in the country. They allowed 1.28.
Yeah, I mean,
Chaz Lanier was 6 for 10 inside the arc.
Like you could say that, but at the way that Tennessee played, or excuse me, the way that Kentucky played defense this year, I would not have told you that 1.08 points per possession or 1.07, whatever it was enough.
I mean, against Tennessee, that's like what you can ask for.
Yeah, I mean, I think like one team had an elite defense and pretty good offense. One team had pretty good offense and a not so great defense.
Like that was like Kentucky only won one game scoring fewer than 1.1 points per possession this year.
Like Tennessee only hit 5 threes in this game. It was what Kentucky had been doing all year. They allowed rim pressure.
Kentucky went 1-10 when it scored fewer than 1.1 points per possession this year. 1-10. I think it went 23-2 in the other games. 23-2.
And that's a team that's going to need to address their defense pretty big time in the portal because they do not have a lot of guys returning next year who are star defenders.
And honestly, I think that's kind of for the better for them. Like
possibly, yeah.
Like the roster was solid, but I heard GP mentioning this. This could be like the least talented roster that Mark Pope has at Kentucky when we look 5 years down the road.
Do you agree with the sentiment that Kentucky fans would have signed up for a Sweet 16 at the start of the year?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that was like the goal. Get to a Sweet 16.
Okay. No, I like not saying they should be disappointed in their season by any means. Like they had a great year. I just Kentucky fans usually have pretty high expectations relative to other fan bases.
I kind of think Kentucky fans were more reasonable this year.
Yeah, I mean, there were obviously the some that thought they would be a top 10 team, and
and let's be honest,
they were a top 15 team.
They were a top 10 team after the first 2 months of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if Jackson Robinson doesn't get hurt, that changes things.
It was the Creasa injury, then the Butler injury, then the Robinson injury.
Yeah, they piled up.
They never got back to full health.
Yeah. No, I think Kentucky had a great year. I just wanted to hear what you thought about it.
I thought they had a great year. I think Mark Pope's going to do a really good job winning there.
Yeah, he's a good coach. Michigan Auburn.
Shout out Auburn.
Holy cow, did the floodgates open in this one?
Was really, really, really impressed with Auburn in the second half of this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Danny Wolf played his heart out, man.
Feel bad for him.
He was really good in this game.
Yeah, he deserved better than what happened in this game. I thought he did a really good job, and then he got gassed. They took him out for like a minute or two, and that was it.
Yeah, I think it.
Floodgates open for Auburn, and Auburn showed why they're the number one team in the country in the number one overall seed.
I think it kind of encapsulated what Auburn has been at times this season. They're an offensive inferno. Like as soon as they got going and the crowd got into it, the game was over.
Auburn, Duke, and Florida have been trading the number one offense in KenPom all year.
Yeah.
Auburn was originally number one. They fell a little bit. I think they finished maybe fourth in the SEC in offense, which is ridiculous in itself. Mizzou had a probably higher. Yeah, Mizzou was number 2. But Auburn, Florida, Duke, 3 offenses that can just totally bury you.
For the if Houston doesn't win the title for the 10th time in a row, we're going to have a team that wins the title that is better in offense than they are in defense.
Correct.
Excluding 2020, obviously, when we had no champion. Last team to do that was 2014 UConn.
And that team breaks every trend in the book.
Every trend.
39.
That's why we have those completely arbitrary cutoff lines for what teams can win a title and what can't.
Correct. Anything else on Michigan Auburn?
No.
Houston, Purdue?
Actually, yes. Very confused why teams don't switch the flex cut against Auburn, especially a team like Michigan that switches like every ball screen.
Houston, Purdue.
Purdue
You want
played.
to talk about the last play?
Yeah, let's. I think that I don't think that was design. Like, I could be wrong, but I don't think that was the design.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
It was a good read by Uzan to throw the ball into Roberts, and a good read by Roberts to throw it back to him. I thought that was more Braden Smith leaving his assignment than anything else.
I don't think that was leaving his assignment. I think that is what he was supposed to do.
Okay.
Like,
So you think it was just a bad defensive setup then by
no, I think that is what Purdue does.
Okay.
It's just that on a play like this, on a baseline out of bounds, like typically when you X out in that situation, you're Xing out with the ball coming. You're Xing out away. You're Xing out towards the basket. Here, because the ball is underneath the basket, Braden Smith is Xing out away from the basket, and it leaves a 2-on-1 for TKR against Tugler and who made the layup?
It was Uzan.
Uzan. For Tugler and Uzan. You're just leaving the 2-on-1 right there. I think it's Purdue's game. Like, Painter's really good at this type of stuff. I think this is like, you don't want to get beat by Cryer on the backside. And at the end of the day, Tugler made a really snap decision. It's a guy with a 7.6 assist rate. That was his only assist of the game. I think things could have gone better for Purdue. But I'm fine with the way the game went on for Purdue. Like, that's their scheme. They're going to live and die with it. It's helped them throughout the year. Maybe try not to do it in this spot, but like, they really struggled to get that ball in. It took a long time to get that ball in. If TKR does a slightly better job denying the ball to Tugler.
Was that on him or Cox not fighting over the screen? I understand that, like, TKR has to show.
I want to watch this back once again, like, because I haven't seen it in like a day.
Yeah, because it's my understanding that, like, the philosophy of using a zinger is like, yeah, you're gonna leave, the inbounder free to inbound the ball, but you have your protector under the rim to steal, so they can't throw a pass right under there. So, like, if TKR is showing on that screen, even if the guy setting his man who's setting the screen dives to the rim, theoretically Braden Smith is there. Like, and to be honest, like, maybe I'm misremembering the play. You're watching it so you can tell me, but Eldrick Cryer was not going to get a layup on that. It was at best going to be like a shot from the short corner that was probably contested.
If Braden Smith doesn't X out, Cryer can get to the block.
You sure? It didn't look like he was getting there.
Because Smith stepped in his way.
But it looked like his path was taking him to the short corner anyway.
But he can come in towards the block. He can do a little floater from the baseline.
Okay, but like, if Braden is if Braden is in the zinger spot, he should be able to deny that anyway.
Maybe deny the pass a little bit, but he wouldn't be able to deny both the pass and the little floater from the block.
Well, I mean, you just can't get beat to the basket like that on the inbounds.
Straight up, like you can't get beat.
Like it was not all on Brady.
Look, at the end of the day, I get why Purdue did what they did. They could have done better. Houston made a great play.
Yeah. Sure.
That wasn't like that was definitely not drawn up. Like,
no, I don't think it was.
That play was quite clearly drawn up for Cryer.
Either that or it's like some of the best scouting I've seen all year. Is that
anything else on this game?
I don't think so. I mean, we really only discussed the final play, but like,
oh, I want to talk about Braden.
Like, Braden Smith is so fucking good, man.
Braden dealt with the hedge better than I'd seen anyone deal with the hedge all year, which is like crazy to say.
What was the stat that Andrew Catalon?
15. Sorry. Wait, hold on.
Purdue had 11 second half field goals, and Braden assisted on all of them.
Yes. I thought that was the most absurd thing I'd ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody better in the sport at leveraging his body to create passing lanes than Braden Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been saying this for well over a year. This guy is the single best pure point guard I've seen in college basketball in a long, long, long time.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a quick update on it at some point, like in the next few days. But like Braden is like on pace to like break the all-time assist record, I believe.
Braden right now has 758 career assists.
Bobby Hurley's record is like 1,100 something, I think.
Bobby Hurley had 1,076, which means Braden Smith would need 318 next year. He had 313 this year. It's doable.
But he could also play more games.
4 more games if they were to make the national championship.
Braden's on pace.
3 more games.
Braden's on pace for 1,010 right now in his college career. But like he also has gotten better and has had more assists this year than he did in like the previous years. So that's just like on a surface level entry math.
All right, let's go on. Elite Eights. Start with the game of the round between Florida and Texas Tech. The Gators are going to the Final Four, Jonathan.
They are. Chomp, chomp.
Todd Golden, year 3. I was 2 years early on this.
And then you were 1 year early on this.
Man, they were so bad that first year when I thought they were going to be so good.
I mean, they had guys get hurt. Like, I saw them play in the SEC tournament that year.
Castleton got hurt. They were a dead body.
They were playing guys off their bench that had no business playing an SEC basketball game.
Who was playing in that?
I forget, man, but it was not good.
Oh, Lord.
Who was it?
Niels Lane? Who was at Delaware the past 2 years?
Oh, and Alex Smizjik or whatever his name is.
Alex Smizjik. Their starting big that day was Jason Jatobo, who ended up at Tennessee State.
Yeah.
Myron Jones played so much that year and was just not
terrible.
Good. He was bad.
Yeah, I mean, Will Richard was really the only one that was like any good offensively for him, and he was just not ready for a high leverage role.
Kugel was really good at the end of that year.
At the end of the year, he was.
And then he just straight up stunk last year.
Yeah. Weird.
But yeah, here we are, Florida, headed to the Final Four. What were your first thoughts on this game?
like you could talk about all the like the crazy, shots that Clayton hit and the shots that Houck hit at the end of the game. If Texas Tech makes one of those 1-on-1s, I think they win.
Do you think Texas Tech blew this game?
Yes.
In what way?
I think Florida took it, but I also think that Texas Tech blew it.
In what way?
They missed two ends of a 1-on-1.
I would agree. That's the way I say it. But like
you like
Florida,
you didn't just miss 2 free throws there. You missed 4.
Texas Tech, the number 55 free throw shooting team in the country, goes 7 of 13. Really 7 of 15 because the 1-on-1s. Florida, the number 164 free throw shooting team in the country, goes 25 of 27. Don't forget about free throw shooting, but free throw shooting is kind of a crapshoot sometimes.
At times. Yeah, I mean,
Tommy Hawk.
Like Texas Tech did everything that they needed to win this game. They stuck with them on the glass. They didn't turn it over. Like they won the turnover battle. I mean, it was just they did. It was so fun. Like I'm stealing this from Harrison, but like as someone who picked Texas Tech to win this region and picked them to win the title game or to go to the title game, excuse me, and had them in my survivor pool yesterday. It felt like my soul had been like ripped out of me watching that. I was stunned. But like Florida did a lot of things right at the end of the game. Like I know Clayton hit some pretty absurd shots, but like Houck's a 30% 3-point shooter. He hit 2 threes. Florida got a couple key offensive rebounds. I mean, you hold Will Richard and Elijah Martin to 16 combined points, and neither one of them hit a 3. You should win.
You should. Texas Tech should have won this game. Florida came and took it.
Yeah.
They were so good down the stretch of this game. Down by 10 with 5 minutes left. But Clayton hits shots. Haw hits shots. I think there's a stat that Florida is undefeated when Denzel Aberdeen makes a 3. Which would make sense because they've only lost 4 games this year.
Yeah.
But every shot's a big shot. And Texas Tech was the better team for, I'd say, 28 minutes. It was pretty even for about 8 minutes. And Florida just played one of the best minutes of basketball I've ever seen at the end of this game. Duke. Jonathan.
What a performance.
This game was, it never felt like Alabama was really going to have a chance. Like Alabama needed.
As someone who was completely nervous through the entire game, I agree with you.
Alabama got 2 pick and pop threes from Aiden Sherrill in the first half. If they didn't get those threes, which seemed to have no impact on Sherrill because he was completely timid for the rest of the game as well. It would have been like 20-4. And Sears was completely shut down. They got out of drop and started switching. Come on, Malawach onto Sears and whoever onto Sears. And then Sears just completely stopped driving the lane. Duke shut off Alabama's water at the rim. And it was lob after lob after lob for the Duke offense.
Yeah, Duke won this game handily with Cooper Flagg playing frankly bad for his standards. Come on, Malawach, who is going to be talked about as a project by people that do NBA draft stuff for the next 2 months.
I was talking about Kaman Malawach as a project a month ago.
He was the best player on the floor in this game.
Khan was.
Dude, what Kaman did defensively at the rim.
Dude,
I don't know.
was-
Khan deserves a lot of credit because he played some pretty outstanding defense yesterday.
This was Khan's best defensive game of the season.
Easily. I still think Kaman was the best player on the floor, though.
I'm going to give it to Khan, but Kaman was second.
14 points, 9 rebounds, only had 2 blocks, but if you want to throw in altered shots, it probably was close to double digits.
The key is also playing 31
He's so
minutes.
good at catching lobs. Like, it's not that's not as
Like-
easy as he makes it look.
It's not as easy as he and Samson Johnson make it look. He played 31 minutes, second most minutes he's played all year. You know how big that is with Malik Brown still injured a little bit. Hopefully, for Duke's sake, Malik is a little bit healthier next week and he can go maybe closer to 10 minutes. That would be huge for them.
Yeah. Shout out Caleb Foster, man. Like, he's been buried on the bench for a lot of conference play this year. Down the stretch this season, he's given them some really good minutes. He had a
I thought
huge
Caleb
three in the
Foster
first
was
half
really
when
good.
Alabama was making a run. He guarded RJ
Got a
Davis
couple,
very
got a
well
couple
in the
standing
Carolina
ovations
game.
whenever he checked out.
Huh?
Caleb Foster got a couple standing ovations when he checked out of the game.
Deserved.
On the Alabama side, they just couldn't hit shots. They couldn't get to the rim. They struggled bad.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a 7-2 center that's switchable against the 6'1 guard, it's a tough combination to score against.
It's what I said. Alabama's second worst offensive performance of the season. Only one worse was against Mississippi. They played 2 games all year with their efficiency below a point per possession. By the
Sam,
way,
you know what
when
Mark
they're-
Sears' offensive rating was yesterday?
what'd you say?
Do you know what Mark Sears' offensive rating was yesterday?
49.
It was 49.
Lowest of the season? No, Illinois was lower. When they benched him.
Yeah, they
You know what
benched. I
happened
was
this
going to say,
game?
didn't they bench him in that game?
You know what happened in this game? They benched him. They benched him in the first half.
Yeah. You couldn't see it because you were there, obviously, but when he was on the bench, like, they kept showing, like, they kept going to him on the screen. Like, they kept cutting to him when he was on the bench. And
How was the body language?
he like, the body language in itself was fine. Like, he wasn't making, faces or anything like that. He didn't look, disinterested. But like, every time they cut to him, it felt like he just like kept looking up at the scoreboard.
Duke's going to the Final Four. Jonathan's going to the Final Four.
Yes, sir. First trip to Texas for me.
Houston, Tennessee.
Huh?
Houston, Tennessee.
Oh, dude, I don't even think tennis, like, I'm going to say this carefully. I don't think Tennessee's, like, game plan was, like, terrible.
What happened?
Houston, like, played unreal at the start of the game, and Tennessee just, like, got flustered.
I said, like, they should turn Chaz Linear off and turn him back on.
Like when
He was
when
terrible.
Tennessee realized that like it wasn't going to be like super easy to get their pin down screens, like they kind of panicked. And like, I guess like you can say Tennessee never quit, but I never thought they were going to win.
What's up?
Like, you could say that Tennessee didn't quit, and they battled, but I never thought they had a chance to win.
I agree.
Like, even when they
didn't.
cut it to like 9 or 8, whatever.
This game, minimum win probability was at the start of the game for Houston.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy for Kelvin.
Yeah, I mean,
They've had so much bad injury luck. They've had so much bad injury luck over the last couple of years.
Literally, that's like that's the bare minimum for Houston. Like, when they've been healthy, they've gone to the Final Four.
I brought this up in February. I said it each of the last 3 years, Houston's had a major injury in March that's held them back. Sasser was a little bit hurt a couple of years ago.
So
there were questions about him. Yeah. Someone who I forget who was hurt in 2022.
Sasser and Mark were both out for the year.
Right. Yeah.
Because remember, Sasser got hurt in December, January, and then Kyler Edwards turned into like an All-American.
Yes, that's true. And Josh Carlton did too.
Yes. UConn legend. And then last year,
and then 2023, Ramon Walker got hurt. And
Sasser
Ramon
and
Walker
Shed were
hasn't
playing
been the same
hurt in the
since.
tournament.
2020, and then obviously last year, no E-Man. Sorry, no. Was it Sharp or Arsenault that was out for the year?
Arsenault.
Yeah, Arsenault was out for the year.
Tugler.
Sharp was good. And Tugler too, yeah.
Tugler got hurt in like February.
And Walker, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And like they were playing Cedric Lath in the NCAA tournament.
Dude, they played Ryan Elvin in overtime of an NCAA tournament game.
Yeah, and he made a free throw.
He did.
I'm so happy for Kelvin though. Just be healthy. Healthy Houston equals Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
4 straight years of number 2 in KenPom, by the way.
What did they finish? What did they finish in 2021? 5?
Yeah.
So the year they made the Final Four is the lowest they finished in KenPom in the last, like, since COVID. That's hysterical.
Jonathan, they are 100. They are 159 and 28.
I tweeted out earlier today, they lost the same amount of regular season games in their first 2 years in the Big 12 as they did in their last 2 years in the American.
Yep. Incredibly dominant basketball team. They've been doing this for years.
Yep. Finally.
One more?
Yeah.
Auburn, Michigan State. This game ended as a 6-point game.
If Auburn shoots the ball well from 3, they win by 20.
This game, this was about Michigan State for me. This game was about Michigan State's inability to do anything offensively. That's what it is. Their offense is so like they started making a couple threes late and cutting it down, but it was too little, too late. Their offense is so bad at generating anything beyond the arc because they can't shoot anything beyond the arc, so they don't try to generate anything beyond the arc. So it creates a never-ending cycle where the defense just packs in and they're making cuts where they're already next to other people. And against a team with as much size as Auburn on the inside, there is nothing that doesn't help. There's too much size. There's too much going on in the paint for you to play a paint-oriented game against Auburn. Unless you have the athletes to match down low, and Michigan State very much doesn't.
I actually thought Jackson Kohler was really good for them today.
He was. Do you want to hear what Stephen Pearl said about Dylan Cardwell?
Yeah, sure.
Cardwell, 5 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, 24 minutes. One of the best defensive players in the country all year.
Mm-hmm.
He said He's been unfucking believable. Excuse my language, but he's so good, man. He's the best defending big in college basketball. There's no doubt in my mind that no one does what he does. No one impacts the game the way he does on a consistent basis defensively. So happy for him to do it in these last 3 games at the level that he's done it. I'm so freaking proud of that kid, man. He's the reason why we do what we do. Dylan Cardwell is the reason why we are college basketball coaches. If you can get a guy like him every 10, 20 years, I'll remember him for the rest of my life. I'm so proud of him. He represents what Auburn is all about. There's not many like him out there.
Teams that were involved in horseplay on a flight now have 100% success rate to get to a Final Four.
That's my line.
That's from Sam Fetterman Stats and Info. He did not invent research.
Man, what about Janai Broome in this game?
Dude, I think Auburn has like multiple guys on this team that like could carve out NBA careers, and I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I think Chaney Johnson could make an impact on an NBA roster for sure.
I don't know what he's doing on an NBA roster, but he could.
Dude,
he could be on one.
He defends. He's athletic.
How was he playing Division II basketball?
He had a 4.1 block rate as a 6'7" wing.
He's a player. He's a player.
Mm-hmm.
Silas Demery will visit UConn on Tuesday. But overall, Janai Broome, first half double-double. Michigan State had absolutely nothing. No answer. They tried to go one-on-one. They tried to double. He scored. Short roll, he scored. Threes, he scored. Low post, he scored. Everything he scored. Slip the screen, pop the screen, pick and roll. Doesn't matter. He's scoring on every single action that Auburn ran in this game. And then he gets hurt. Energy's gone. Feels like Michigan State can make a run. Auburn gets a few key stops, keeps it at like 8 or 9, and then Broome comes back in and hits a 3. And that was the game.
Yeah, we usually say this about guards, but for Janai Broome, there's like no bad shots with him. He can make anything. Like, he'll step out and hit threes. He'll hit a fadeaway in the post. He'll back you down from the 3-point line. There are so many different ways that he can score. He can score against double teams, like you said, and that makes him so difficult to guard, especially for a team like Michigan State that is not athletic inside.
Anything else to add on this game before we sign off?
Izzo had a quote last year that he said he was going to make another deep run or die trying. I don't know if that was the exact quote, but it was something of that tone. This is his deep run, right? Like, this is what you consider this a deep run. Elite Eights aren't easy to get to.
Yeah, it's a deep run. No doubt. All right.
Like, how much would it surprise you if Tom Izzo made another Final Four?
It wouldn't.
You don't think it would?
No. He's Tom Izzo. Why would it surprise me?
I'd be a little bit surprised.
He's Tom Izzo. It wouldn't surprise me. All right. Crown time.
Sure.
We are less than 24. We are less than 24 hours away from the college basketball crown. I need your bracket. What'd you say?
Are there day games on?
3 o'clock, baby.
That's music to my ears, man.
Utah, but I gave my bracket with Sharp last week. You can go listen to that one. Utah Butler.
Are we picking winners here?
You are. I already picked mine.
Give me Butler.
Boise State, George Washington.
I'll take Boise State. You there?
Who'd you pick?
Boise State.
Nebraska, Arizona State.
How does Arizona State have enough players for this?
Georgetown,
Nebraska.
Washington State.
Georgetown.
Washington State.
Georgetown.
Mons against Cincinnati.
Come on, you think I'm picking against the Mons?
Oregon State, UCF.
Again, how does UCF have enough players for this game? I'll take Oregon State.
I have no idea.
Actually, no, I won't, because Oregon State's like best players have all entered the portal too. So I'll take UCF.
Villanova, Colorado.
Colorado.
Southern Cal, Tulane.
USC.
All right, USC, Colorado.
USC.
Mons, UCF.
Mons. Actually, I'm
Butler,
changing
Boise
this.
State.
I'm changing this. Cincinnati over DePaul. Cincinnati over UCF.
Gross. Butler, Boise State.
Boise State.
Nebraska, Georgetown.
Georgetown.
Georgetown, Boise State.
Boise State.
Cincinnati, USC.
USC.
USC, Boise State.
Boise State.
I picked Boise State to go out in the first round.
Really? To GW?
I think that they're going to think they're above. I think they're going to think they're above this, and they're going to come out and lay a stinker.
No, I don't think that they will.
All right, Jonathan, you want to take us home?
If you came to hear about Tyler Self.
Oh, wait. One more thing.
NIT?
North Texas, UC Irvine.
Irvine.
Me too. Loyola, Chicago, Chattanooga.
Loyola.
Same. Loyola, Irvine.
Irvine.
Both of those games, by the way, have 1 point Ken Palm spreads. 7 o'clock and 9:30 on Tuesday. We will do a post show for the NIT.
Will we?
No.
You're really
Unless
pushing
you
us
want
towards
to.
90 here.
Unless you want to. Well, we'll have to figure out when
Okay.
the season finale is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to
Jonathan,
be.
take us home.
If you came to hear about Tyler Self and where he's working, you came to the right place. If you came to hear about the College Basketball Crown, which I once called the Fire Festival of College Basketball, you came to the right place. And if you came to hear about the latest happenings with Caleb Grill, you came to the right place. This has been Season 5, Episode 85 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers. We'll see you next time.